What
And
would you do if Tommy called you out?
Just laugh.
Quality's never going to be any good. That is.
No, but if it's not even competitive, it could be competitive. The same way, I can only see the fight going exactly the same way. But up 154, I think Errol Spence might be a bit of his former self.
Hello and welcome to Talk Boxing episode number 44 with me, Spencer Oliver, and him, Mr. Carl Froch. Now guys, before we get on with the show, please could you like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Carl, replacement for Mr. Jordan this week. Great to have you back, mate.
Great to be here. Is that what I'm doing, replacing Simon Jordan?
Yeah, you're replacing him for a week, mate. But do you know what? I think the numbers were dropping. We needed to bring the Cobra back. That's what it was.
That's a bit
anyway,
harsh,
actually, let's talk about your show, your YouTube show. What is it, At Home with the Froches or something?
We're like a big family here, aren't we, at talkSPORT, plugging each other. I give talkSPORT a little plug the other day. But yeah, but it's not At Home with the Froches. No.
Oh, sorry, mate. What is it? Froch on Fighting. So, yeah, great show you're doing there, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, my wife asks the questions, I answer, and talk a bit of boxing, and it's all natural. It's all just flows. I like to just be, you know what I'm like.
So it's not At Home with the Froches?
We are actually at home, yeah. Either in my gym or in my little trophy room.
Right.
You know my trophy room that's got 2 WBC titles, an IBF and a WBA, and a British title.
Did you get anything for packing out Wembley Stadium, 80,000 people?
How do you mean, did I get anything?
Did they give you a plaque or anything? Because it was like you created a bit of history there, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a glass plate on a little shelf, mate, in my trophy room. You've not seen it? Did you get anything for packing out Wembley Stadium?
You ain't invited me up there, mate.
You're sick of me talking about it, aren't you?
Listen, let's get on with the show.
Let's do it.
Saturday night, Misfits Boxing. I want to get, Cole, your thoughts on the event itself. I mean, what do you make of YouTube boxing?
Well, the event itself was very good. I thought the quality of the production was great. I thought the ring entrances, the fact that the place was packed out early doors, because usually, like for main event boxing, you only the place fills up, doesn't it, for the main event. So it was nice to see the venue full in Manchester.
Do you think they've got the concept right?
Yeah, but they've got such a big reach, got a big demographic of these followers that follow the YouTubers. So there's a massive audience, and it's somewhat a bit different. It's a bit glitz and glammy. I mean, look at the ring entrance when KSI came in. He was sitting in his Lamborghini, and all them young kids are all impressed with them kind of material things that put it out there, and it did look good. I thought the show itself, the event, was good. It would have been nice to be a part of it. I can see why people are attracted to go in there and walking around and having a look and taking the atmosphere and having a good night. The problem is, which you're probably going to talk about in a minute, but the problem is when the boxing starts, it's just rubbish. The actual, it's not even competitive, but the fighting, the event that you're going to watch. Imagine packing out Wembley Stadium. I know you can only imagine it, but imagine packing out Wembley Stadium.
What's it like?
With a Champions League final, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've got massive football, you've got all the crowd there. I don't think there'd be 80,000 there actually for football. So anyway, numbers are that side. Think about it, you've sold out the place and all the players are on there, they've limbered up, they've warmed up. The referee's about to blow the whistle. I did mention this on my Froch on Fighting YouTube channel the other day. But when the whistle goes, the players start kicking the ball about, they're falling over, they can't tackle, they can't kick a ball with accuracy, they can't sprint because they've got no strength and power and technique, they don't know what they're doing. So can you imagine you've got that big event and all of a sudden, when the game's on, you're sitting there bored and you've got a massive anticlimax. And for me, I mean, I don't know whether all the kids that turn up to this event the other day with Tommy Fury and KSI, whether they all enjoyed it. But for me, I'd be sitting there thinking, all this build-up, all this glitz and glam, and look at the quality of the actual fight. It's rubbish.
Yeah, do you know what it was? The two main events really let themselves down, and we'll get into them, we'll break them down, which was KSI, obviously Tommy Fury, Logan Paul, and Dylan Dennis. We'll get into them.
I did hear the undercard was a bit more.
But the undercard, did you not see the
undercard?
The undercard,
so I went out to watch it.
A kid called Salt Pappy, he got beat by Slim, but that was a great fight, as in, the quality was not good, but it was a great fight.
And that's what you want to see. And
then we had
even if it's a pub brawl, you enjoy it if they're exchanging and landing blows.
Yeah, and then you had another one, Dean the Great boxing, a kid called Wallid Sharks. But for me, I mean, that was an unbelievable, the courage that this Sharks showed to hang in there. The referee should have stopped the fight, by the way. That's another concern for me, is these effectively white-collar fights, and you see them, you've got refereeing going in there, they've got 10-ounce gloves,
the referees are
no head guards, and they're allowing it to go on.
Are the referees got any kind of experience, or do they need to pass any kind of licensing or testing?
Well, yeah, you've got people like Ian John Lewis were working there, like, you know.
Yeah, but who refereed the KSI
I don't know who. I
Tommy
can't
Fury
remember who the
fight?
referee was.
Because he didn't have a clue.
Nah.
He should have kept breaking them up.
Totally.
And tell them stop holding. And
that is one of the problems. Maybe the officials that they're using around this, because like a couple of them fights, like I mentioned there.
Yeah, but if Ian John Lewis is
they were allowed to go on too long. They were allowed to go on too long, and then you get your two main events. We go with Logan Paul, Dylan Dennis.
Yeah.
You know, you see what went on there. I mean, them two had a big online on and off. Like Dylan Dennis was getting personal about his fiance, etc. Things broke out. So let's go back to the press conference quickly. Let's talk about a little bit about the press conference. When they got there, the setup again was great. The turnout was unbelievable. The numbers that they're creating are incredible. You get there and then they all just lost it, basically.
Yeah.
You know, like the realities kick in, emotions start running high. They start getting really personal. Then there's, I think Dylan Dennis hit Logan Paul with a microphone, split his eye.
Is that what he threw at him?
Yeah, he hit me with the hand.
Dangerous, really dangerous.
It's very dangerous. I mean,
stupid.
What do you make of that? Like, listen, I think they've got the concept right, but I think they're going a little bit too far, a little bit over the top.
Overselling it.
Trying
too hard to
But that's
generate.
what they're all about, right? Numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're going to get the numbers anyway because they've got a big following. But to do that, I mean, if it was a licensed event, they'd be banned, they'd be fined heavily, they'd be reprimanded. And I don't think they're getting their punishment, or there's no real serious ramifications for their actions in which the way they behave. And to throw a microphone, which has got sharp edges, they're quite heavy, these microphones. People, if you've not held one, they're quite heavy and bulky. They've got the batteries inside them. And Dylan Dennis threw it straight into Logan Paul's side of his face, cutting his face and bruising him.
Yeah.
That's out of order. It's unacceptable behaviour and it shouldn't happen. But it did happen, and it does happen time and time again on these Misfits events and these YouTube. And that's because they don't understand what they're doing, and they think it's all one big laugh and a joke and a big game. And that's the problem, I think. It kind of it undermines professional boxing. But I'm at the stage now where I've talked about it that much. I feel we should stop talking about it, and here we are talking about it.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I think that what people have got to understand, Cole, and I'm with you on this one, mate. It's not like, I think that people have got to understand it's got its own space. Like, you've got your professional boxing, and I know the professional boxers are moaning about the money that these guys are earning, but we live in a world that's about self-promotion, and that's what they do. That's their world, where they self-promote, they've got big YouTube followers, etc. But we've got to understand that there is a difference in this YouTube boxing, a space there, and professional boxing. Yeah, they use boxing as the umbrella, but it's not professional boxing. It's never going to be, is it?
That's all well and good. But when you've got people like Tommy Fury, who's actually a professional boxer, a licensed professional, getting involved and fighting, his brother turns up, Tyson Fury, who's obviously the most renowned heavyweight in world boxing right now. If he's turning up to these events and you've got Tommy in there, then it is a crossover between professional boxing and Misfits boxing, or joke shop boxing, or play fighting, or whatever you want to call it. A load of crap as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Because they're not qualified, they're not experienced, they're not good enough to be in the boxing ring. They'd probably be better off wrestling. Or doing some kind of, I don't know, controlled cage fight, because they can't box. The technique is so poor. As soon as that bell goes, like I said earlier, I switch off. And the pub I was in, watching it, South Bank in Nottingham, give them a little plug there, the bar was full of kids. And when I say kids, 18 up to about 23, 24-year-olds, I'm 46, so they're kids to me, young men and women, and they was booing. And they were shaking their head, and they was coming over to me saying, "What do you think of that? What a load of rubbish." I'm thinking, well, you're here, getting all excited watching it, and they're filling this venue. So I think eventually it's gonna do itself out with these performances. People are going to switch off from it and stop turning up, because who have you got? Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI, that Dylan, that. Who else is like leading the pack to make these fights?
That's the question. Like, who's going to, like you said,
I think it may have run its course, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about appetite. I mean, we talkSPORT were doing the live broadcast of that show. There was 2.2 million or 2.3 million viewers watching us commentate. Yeah. So they couldn't even see the fight. They're watching us commentate. That shows you the appetite for the younger generation.
I watched that one actually. It was pretty good though, to be fair.
Yeah.
He's put on a good show.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. Listen, like, you were talking about the crossover there with Tommy Fury, and he said at the end of that, yeah, that's it now, it's me done, I've done this, I've boxed Jake Paul, I've done KSI now I'm going back into real boxing. Will he go back into real boxing? The reason I asked that question, he's probably got the best part of £3 million for fighting someone there who can't fight in KSI, who's not a professional boxer. No. Or he goes back and you go, well, where's he at? Is he British title level? Is he, what sort of money are you talking about? 50 odd grand, somewhere like around that. That's what I'm saying. Do you think that he will go back to professional boxing, or do you think the money's too tempting to be there?
I don't think he'll go back into professional boxing, and where's he going to go if he does? I mean, let's look at what we've got coming up this weekend with Azeez and Joshua Buatsi.
Yeah.
So they're light heavyweights. Okay, they're probably just above British level. They're going to be fighting for a world title soon. I'm talking about a proper world title, not a WBO or an IBO.
Yeah.
So hopefully if they get up there, that's what it'll be. And if you look at that level, that's the sort of level where Tommy Fury wants to be aiming towards. And that's where he eventually wants to go. He's a million miles away from that.
Yeah.
And the bigger problem he's got is, money-wise and earnings-wise, is also a million miles away. He's £1 million away from that because he's earning 7 figures doing these joke shop fights that are rubbish to watch. And he gets out the ring, he hasn't got a mark on him, he's got no aches and pains, no bumps and bruises because he's not really been hit with a shot. Both of them got out with not a mark on them. So to think that he's going to go into professional boxing, following on from what he's got now, is you're in dream world. It's not going to happen. And if he does want to become a professional boxer, he's going to get the shock of his life because he's not going to generate the money. So he's going to go, oh, how much am I going to get paid for fighting him? All right, okay, right. And then he's going to try and drum up some interest in the Misfits because he's done very well. He's earning a fortune. He's got his own crossover. He's married to Molly May, who's a big public figure now, and he was also on that Love Island. So he's a bit of a celebrity, glamorous kind of in social media star anyway himself, in his own right, and fair play to him. He's maximising it money-wise. You don't want to get hit in the face and punched in the head if you're not getting paid maximum money.
He called out Conor McGregor, didn't he?
He did,
McGregor on that. I know Conor.
Well, there you go.
But I mean, where would you put him in a fight like that? Because McGregor would probably look at that and go, you know what? That's a great way to earn a few quid there. I mean, he would probably go for that.
Conor McGregor struggles to box, doesn't he?
Do you think he beats Tommy Fury?
No.
No.
I don't think he's big enough.
What would you do if Tommy called you out?
Just laugh.
Would you fight him? Would you box him one of these?
Mate, that would be, listen, I'm not lucky enough for somebody like Tommy Fury to call me out. I'd 100% fight him because...
What if McGregor
he's
called
not,
you out?
He's not ready for the level. Even though I've been retired 9 years, there's levels to the game. There's levels. And he's not of that level. So I think he should stick to doing the Misfit stuff, cash in, and get out the game when he's made the money, because that's going to be, you can look back and say, I've had a great career. I ain't got a mark on me. I've not had one. I had 5 operations. I've been concussed, I don't know how many times. I've never been knocked out. And I had a tough, hard career. And that was professional boxing as it is. For most, 99% of fighters now, that's the career they have. And if they're lucky enough to fight for a world title and win a world title and defend it, they might be amongst the 1% that get out financially free with the brain cells intact. But Tommy Fury's doing something that is in a very small, privileged few that are able to do. Generate massive wealth for fights that aren't even fights, like we saw the other day. It wasn't a box, it wasn't a fight, it wasn't competitive, it was rubbish. No, both of them didn't get a mark on them. So whilst he can do it, whilst it's there, I'd say to him, take it. But forget about professional boxing, because he's going backwards now. What he's doing fighting KSI and Jake Paul, he's going backwards. Is losing the ability to fight properly. I don't know who he's sparring or what he's doing, but he couldn't even set anything up. He couldn't throw a jab. He's got no head movement, no foot feints, no lateral movements, all straight lines. All he had to do was time KSI coming in. Little fake, let KSI fall in, throw the uppercut. He didn't throw one uppercut in 18 minutes. 6 3-minute rounds, he didn't throw one uppercut. So he hasn't got a clue how to fight properly in a professional capacity. So stick to what you're doing. Keep killing it, keep making your money, keep that pretty face, and I'm not knocking him. He's done well.
Listen, from a business
point
of view,
I admire him, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he's one of the very few people that can do what he's doing. So do it, maximise it, rip the arse out of it, then retire from it. Don't try and be a professional boxer.
I've got to say though, mate, I think, from the entertainment point of view, I thought it was brilliant on Saturday night. Honestly, I thought they put everything
hang on, Chief Support main event, you thought it was entertaining?
No. I said from the entertainment, as a spectacle, as an event, from the event point of view, sorry.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
so was you entertained then?
I was entertained.
What with?
The undercard, not the two main events.
So Chief Support and main event was a load of rubbish.
Chief Support main event was
rubbish. And that's why you turn up, and that's what you're there for.
No.
That's the main
sell.
I
know, but what I'm saying is, as an event, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
The event was good, but the fighting and the content and the quality of the fight was crap.
The quality's never going to be any good. That is.
No, but if it's not even competitive, it could be competitive. If KSI would have had a swing up and Tommy Fury would have obligated and obliged and stood in front of him and had a bit of a fight, that might have been a great event. But because they both absolutely ran and held and come together and clinched and the referee was useless, it just made for a terrible fight. And the Logan Paul fight against Dylan Dennis, that was also a shutout.
Yeah.
Dennis not throwing any punches, and
He was
Logan
obviously
Paul
gonna
just
get
swinging
disqualified,
away. So
Yeah.
you weren't entertained.
Yeah.
You need to retract that. You wasn't entertained. You were sitting there bored stiff.
No, I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed the two
I think you'll
fights.
see it, actually, only 2.2 million people that watched our live commentary.
Saw that you was enjoying
Saying
it.
Yeah. But anyway, look, let's move on. Let's talk about a real fight. At the O2, there's a live and exclusive on talkSPORT, by the way, on Saturday night. Joshua Buatsi, WBA #1 against Dan Azeez, WBA #2. Now, that is a real fight. That's a fight I'm looking forward to. You looking forward to that?
Dan Azeez, decent, 35 years old, is a fan's favourite. Best wins, Jose Burton and Rocky Fielding.
Yeah.
I mean, probably best wins than Buatsi.
Buatsi had Craig Richards. I mean, that was a good win against Craig Richards. Craig Richards is
close,
underrated.
Close fight.
Yeah, Richards is underrated. I mean,
he probably is underrated.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you've got to say what have they done and what level they're all ranked with the major governing bodies, the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA. Nobody really cares about the WBO anymore, do they? Have they ever bothered about the WBO? It is what it is. But both of these fighters, I think, are in there to win. They're both ambitious. And I think it will be a good fight. I'm making Buatsi a slight favourite on that one. He's a bit, what is he, 32 years old?
Well, they've got history together, haven't they? Because Buatsi was actually the kid that done, was it 2016 Olympics? He was in the Olympics. Dan Azeez was in the gym.
He's relatively, Buatsi slipped under the radar. He's relatively unknown. He's not a fan's favourite.
Yeah.
He doesn't give much, does he? And he doesn't
create
much attention.
Explain this though, right, to the guys. So like Dan Azeez is in there looking at Josh. They're in the same gym. Joshua Buatsi is the kid. You know when you're in an amateur gym and you've got the kid and you go, everyone aspires to be this guy, you know what I mean? This guy's inspiring me, I want to get there. Azeez was in that position, and Dan Azeez sort of like, he had a mediocre amateur career, went away, done a finance degree, got good education behind him, then come back, and he's done it the hard way, hasn't he? Like, he's done like Southern area, English, British Commonwealth,
and European.
First ever Brit to do that, I think.
It'd be nice for him to win the British title outright, actually. I think he's 1 or 2 away from that.
Yeah.
But
like
otherwise, at 35 years old, he's doing the right thing.
But he's in the gym looking at Buatsi. Buatsi's the main kid, right? He's the one doing the Olympics, etc. He turns over in a blaze of glory and, he's doing what he's doing. Like you say, he's now gone under the radar a little bit. But then Dan Azeez has done it that hard way. And now all of a sudden he finds himself topping the bill at the O2 and they're fighting each other for the right to box for the world title, effectively, which would be like Dimitri Bivol or someone like that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is he finds himself... How does he go into that mentally? Like, as in... This is a guy that I've always looked up to. Now all of a sudden I'm fighting him. But do you think that gives him... Does he feed off that, or is that going to be difficult for him?
I'd think boxing as an amateur, you fight people who you know and you fight your mates, and sometimes from the same gym or the same camp when you box for England. So I just think the professionalism of him, he'll just think to himself, I need to switch off from the fact, switch off from the fact that I know him, and maybe use that as be a bit angry about it. So listen, I think I'm better than you. You're getting a bit more attention than me, but I've got a better record than you. And this is his last chance. He's 35 years old, Azeez, so he needs to get a move on. And I think he believes in himself, and he's got a real good, strong chance. I'm making Buatsi the favourite just because I think he's a bit more of a tidier boxer, and he's got a better amateur pedigree, and he's more well schooled. But who knows? He's not really. He's not really
got that old school sort of mentality, He's persistent, just keeps coming. Like you say, Buatsi's the more spiteful puncher for me out of the two. And I'm with you. I lean towards Buatsi. I think that I make him a slight favourite, very slight. But Azeez has got the momentum with him at the moment. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
It is, very interesting fight. Yeah. It is a pick and winner. It's very close, but I think you've got to make Buatsi the favourite.
Do you like to see the winner of that fight, Anthony Yard? I mean, I think Yard has made it. He's been quite vocal about it, saying, listen, he would like to fight Joshua Buatsi.
I was about to say, he'd definitely built for it, wasn't he, Yard? He'd built for it. I mean, he lost to Beterbiev. He put a good performance against Beterbiev and Kovalev before as well, when experience let him down. And he was, I think he let himself down a little bit in that one as well. I think he just kind of didn't go in there believing in himself. But good fighter.
Would you like the winner to fight Anthony Yard?
Yeah, potentially. I think Anthony Yard will definitely take it. I think it'd be a good opportunity for Anthony Yard to see if he belongs in that. I mean, we know he belongs because he's been in with the best, the monster, Beterbiev. I mean, he had 19 fights, 19 by way of. Put them all
I thought
on.
he'd done well in that fight.
He did. He was doing all right, but then the power of Beterbiev. I mean, is he fighting Callum Smith next?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough fight for Smith.
That fight, actually.
Tough for Smith off the back of what he's been doing. I mean, Smith's best win, what is it, George Groves? I mean, come on, and Groves was
Smith's a good fighter, though.
He's a good fighter, but he needs to I mean, to say the accolades he's had, he needs to start fighting people. So now he's fighting Beterbiev, then fair enough, that's his big fight. But yeah, back to what you were saying, Anthony Yard against the winner of these two, I think's a good shout.
That's an obvious move, isn't it? I mean, that would be a great fight. I mean, Anthony Yard versus Buatsi is a fight that I think has been talked about for a while.
Yeah. That sounds like a tasty fight, doesn't it?
Yeah. Dan Azeez has come sort of out, it's not out of nowhere because he's done it the old school hard way and he's come up through the ranks and put his name in the mix.
And that might be the difference though in this fight. The way he's done it the hard way and has come through the rankings is a good old fashioned pro that's done it the proper way, like I did.
Yeah.
He come through the rankings, area title, like you said earlier, English, British, Commonwealth, European. I never got the European title, I went straight to WBC, but I was also getting on a little bit age-wise, turned pro at 25, and I fought for the WBC title rather than sort of wait around to see what was happening with the European.
How did that happen? Just opportunity, because you must have been world ranked, obviously.
I think the European title was vacant and there was nobody really to fight. And I was supposed to fight a guy called Dennis Inkin as an eliminator for the WBC that Joe Calzaghe vacated rather than fight me. And when you've got Jean Pascal, an unbeaten, hungry young lion like me, coming over from Canada to fight for a vacant title for me, and after discussing it with Rob McCracken, I was like, listen, this guy's unbeaten. I remember him beating Paul Smith in the Commonwealth Games as an amateur to win the gold medal. He beat Paul Smith in the Commonwealth final, and I just thought, this is because I was always wanted to fight the best. That's what makes me laugh when people say, oh, you swerve Calzaghe, because I fight anybody. And my record shows that I'll fight anybody. So yeah, back to the boys, I just think that would be...
That'd be a mouth-watering fight, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah, because what Anthony Yard's done and who he's been in with, and I know he's not won everything, but you can see he's still got the hunger and he still wants to be a world champion. He wants that recognition. So the Buatsi fight for me is probably a little bit more juicy than Anthony Yard fighting Dan Azeez. But if Dan Azeez pulls it off against Buatsi,
well, he stock rises.
That's a great fight. So let's hope for that one.
Yeah, listen, well, look forward to that one. Look forward to Saturday night, actually. Let's jump across the pond. A big fight that's been announced, a rematch that's been announced. Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford, 2. Has been announced. They're looking at maybe early part of next year. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think there's an appetite for that? Because for me, I think it was a one-sided fight.
It was
one-sided. I thought
one-sided.
Crawford won that fight quite comfortably.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on it?
And Errol Spence not come out and said that he was injured or he struggled at the weight?
Well, look, it was at 147. We know that Spence does struggle at 147.
And that's where is that where the rematch is?
Yeah, well, I don't know what the rematch is yet. I don't know where they're going to put that.
No,
I don't know
weight-wise.
Weight-wise, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what the weights are or anything. I know that they've just announced that they are going to do it. I think he's activated the rematch clause, but I don't know what weight it's going to be.
It'd be interesting if it was up at 1-5. At the same
It'd be a different fight if it was at 154.
If it's at 147, I just think it was, like you've said, it was a one-sided whooping. Yeah. It was a domination, pure domination, class performance, wasn't it? By Crawford.
He went over in Crawford, had him down in the second. He had him down again in the 7th, stopped him in the 9th. But it was like you say. But
without the knockdowns, he was dominating. He was dictating the pace, doing what he wanted to do when he wanted to. If he was under any kind of pressure, he'd fire back and get the best of the argument. So at 147, at the same weight, I can only see the fight going exactly the same way. But up at 154, I think Errol Spence might be a bit of his former self, and he might bring back the old Errol Spence.
What adjustments has Spence got to make? What would he have to make? Because like looking back at that, I watched that fight this morning actually. I went over it, looked at the highlights of that fight again, and I was just going, you just recognise the brilliance of Terence Crawford. I think he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, Terence Crawford.
He's heading that way,
not just this era, because the way that he dominated and controlled that fight, and Errol Spence, who's a great fighter, he made it look simple. And you just go, how much more to his, how much more to his game has he got? Can Errol Spence bring anything to the table, do you think? Can he do any sort of adjustments?
I don't think he needs to make any adjustments because he's a brilliant fighter. He's a fantastic talent, Errol Spence. And I just think on the night, he just looked like he was jaded. For me, I'm not going to take anything away from Terence Crawford's performance because he was catching him on the outside. He was counter-punching on the back foot, Terence Crawford was, to start with. And then he started to counter-punch on the front foot. So he was triggering Errol Spence, then firing back with big shots, combination, and heavy punches as well. Errol Spence couldn't do anything, whether he was on his front foot or back foot, centre of the ring, up close, at range. Terence Crawford just absolutely annihilated him in every department, what you would look at as a trainer. So going into the rematch, you'd just say, listen, this guy's got your number, you're not good enough. Unfortunately, you're not good enough. And to say that about somebody like Errol Spence sounds ridiculous because he's such a talented fighter. So I just think maybe he was a bit drained at 147. Maybe he was jaded and he just didn't have that engine and that energy. And it did look like he didn't have the engine and the energy because when he was getting clipped, he was hurt. Up close, he didn't have the strength. So up at 154, this could be a real humdinger. So let's see what weight the fight gets made at, because I can't see Errol Spence jumping in under the same circumstances and the same rules and situations as that first fight, because it was an absolute bloody whooping, wasn't it?
Brilliant. Cobra, as always, great having you back in the studio, mate.
Good to be here.
Yeah, brilliant. So that's it for episode number 44 of Talk Boxing with myself and the Cobra, Mr. Carl Froch. Remember, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channels, and I'll see you next week.
What about the Cobra's channel?
What about the Cobra's channel? What is it? At Home with the Froch?
Forget that. Froch on fighting, the Cobra, and with the missus. It's not At Home with the Cobra. This might not get used, but if it does, get on my channel, Froch on fighting, hit like, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much.
See you next week.